Hello, beautiful souls. It's Dr. Danny, physician astrologer. Welcome back to my channel. Welcome to the channel if you're new, and shout out to all those channel members. Everybody with a star next to their name is taking an extra step to support this channel, and I'm eternally grateful for all of you. What a privilege and an honor to be back to talk to you guys about Venus moving into Taurus. That's right. We are going to discuss the entire transits of Venus as she moves from Taurus, the beginning stars, the Pleiades, Uranus, all the way to the end, which will be around July 30th. So if that sounds a little bit foreign to you, that's because I'm talking about the actual sky. We're talking about the constellations here on my channel. So we will explore Venus through Taurus. She will be in Gemini next month, and that's going to be very exciting because she will be making a conjunction with Jupiter, and very much looking forward to that. So, yeah, the conjunction with Jupiter is kind of a big deal, you guys. It's one of those things where Venus's energy is very, very subtle. It's not a planet that just sort of slaps you on the face and say, "Hey, I'm here." You have to tap into it a little bit. You have to kind of go inward and find that flow of energy, that flow of creative force. And when she hits up against the sun, for example, there's a lot of sloshing around of really good creative energy. When she gets together with Mercury, it's creative genius. When Venus gets together with Mars, well, sparks fly. Sometimes it's about relationships. Sometimes it's about the duality of ourselves coming together into one force. When she's with Jupiter, which will be later on this summer, it's magic. It's the millionaire and the billionaire planet. When she's with Saturn, she gives a beauty to the form, to the foundation, to the legacy. When she's with Pluto, it's powerful creation. With Neptune, it's dreamy creation. But when she's with Uranus, that's why this talk is rated PG-13, because it's an energy that shocks you sometimes. If we think about the mundane energies of Venus being, the goddess of beauty and love and harmony and charm, relationships, things like that, then we could find ourselves in a very strange relationship. We could find our relationships taking very strange turns. We could find that our relationships take different dimensions that we didn't expect ourselves to either enjoy or be inspired from. So we'll get into a little bit of that as we talk further. So the way that I wanted to do this for you was to tell you the story of Venus. If you think about the traditional hero's journey, kind of going around the zodiac and working through the karma of all the different constellations, Venus has gone all the way around and she's back home now. She's in her home turf of Taurus. She rules the sign of Taurus. So that is a very interesting energy. I will describe that to you, but I'm going to tell you in sort of a story form as I give you some very interesting synchronicities. Then, as we're sort of weaving the story together with a little bit of decoding, we'll talk a lot about Uranus and Venus together and what that energy means. And then finally, we will go through all of the transits that Venus will make the entire month. It's basically acts 1, 2, and 3. There's 3 sets of waves that we're going to be riding through as Venus moves through Taurus. So how's everybody doing? Wow. It's been a little bit since we did a live stream. They're working me a lot. That's what you get when you go on vacation. You get to work a little bit extra when you get home. So let's see who's here. We have Lori from Washington, Look Up Astrology. Thank you so much for being here on every single live stream. It warms my heart. I appreciate you. And then Desiree's here. Another one of my beautiful Stellar Foundations students. I can't wait to see what you do with astrology, Desiree. Ultimus is here. Step into Flow is here. Hello, all good people. Jacques Ali is here. Sanat Kumara. Let's see. Brenda's here. Hello, Brenda. Brenda's been on the channel before. She was one of our modern magicians we pulled the curtain back and talked to. Good. It's about 13 people, which is a lucky number for us. So good. I'm going to just burn through some announcements, and then we will get into the presentation. So for those of you that are channel members, we had our first monthly Zoom call the night of the new moon, and that recording is available in the members only section. So if y'all missed that and you are a member, You just go to the members only section on your YouTube display and you can rewatch that. We covered a lot of cool topics. So check it out. If you're not a member and you want to watch it and see what we do, that's cool. It's only $4.99 a month. You can come to one of these community calls and then, cancel your subscription if you don't like it, or you can stay with us. Either way, it's a great community, a bunch of like-minded, wonderful people that are gazing at the sky. So we're doing that. The book's doing really well. So thank you for all of you that have given me such beautiful and wonderful reviews and supporting that work, affirming what, I felt about the information. So it's been really wonderful. I've been working with my Venus book where I've started writing the chapters for that. So this is a more of a subtle process. So Fucus sort of came like a flash of lightning in the middle of the night, but the Venus I'm going to go slowly with. I'm going to marinate in it. I'm going to really bring to you guys what I've been researching over the past 3 years with the Venus cycle. So we'll get into that a little bit. Let's see what else. Stellar foundations, we're cooking along. I think we're getting into Aries and Pisces in the coming weeks here. We're about halfway through, and I have thought long and hard on it, and I am going to do a third round this year. That's not how I'm going to do it every year. I'm not going to do 3 stellar foundations every year. I've decided that I'm going to do this one coming up in the fall, then we'll do one in the spring, winter. We're going to take a break in the summer, and then we'll do it again in the fall. So stellar foundations will only be twice a year. Because I really like the summer school teaching more advanced topics. It's just I didn't really have time to do that this year. And I'll only have one of those classes this year, but announcements for that are coming up. And then finally, ISAA, the International Sidereal Astrology Association, is getting some momentum on the 27th of September. They've invited me to be one of their keynote speakers for their launch event, and I'm very excited to represent our community and be a part of this amazing organization. It's just the beginning. Stick around for the next 2 to 5 years. You might be surprised at what the reach we can get with people sort of rallying around each other and helping each other. Awesome. All right, you guys, those are my announcements. I think that's all I can think of at the moment. Vivian Slinette's here from Australia. Good morning. Okay, so it's Sunday morning in Australia already. I guess it must be like 6 or 7 a.m. over there. Desiree registered for the ISAA event. Awesome. Good. Oh, hey, Nikki, the founding member and president of the association herself. Thank you so much. I need to get you guys on here and do a little modern magicians discussion with you. Either just you or you and Abby. I'd be so excited to have both of you. So cool. Yeah, I'm drinking coffee right now, I guess, because last night at the hospital, man, all the babies came out all at once. It was crazy. I think I saw like 16 patients between 4 p.m. and 4 a.m. and 10 of them got to be admitted. And then one of the other doctors had like 6 deliveries while all that was happening. And the other one had a C-section. It was crazy. It was crazy this morning. So, but we're here. I've had a good day. I got home and I did a couple of client meetings and a reading, and I took a nap, and now we're getting into Venus. So for those of you that are Venus lovers, you don't necessarily have to have any exciting placements of Venus, but if, for example, you have Taurus rising, that means Venus is your chart ruler. If you have either Libra or Virgo rising, I would give you Venus as your chart ruler. If you have Venus in one of your angular charts, like either on one of the angles on your chart, like either ascendant, descendant, midheaven, or IC, that might be interesting. If you have Venus conjunct a major planet or in a stellium, those are also very interesting. So yeah, if not, and you just love the goddess, then this is also an awesome presentation. So let me do a couple of things before we get into the PowerPoint. First, I'll share the screen, and then we will look at the sky. But before I look at the sky, I want to show you one of the coolest things about Venus. And those of you that have been following my work, you have seen this before. So, just indulge me a little bit. I can watch this every single day. This is the relative movement of Sun and Venus from the perspective of Earth. So what you're looking at here is Earth in the center. So this is a geocentric model. And then you have the Sun orbiting the Earth. to mimic what we see from east to west every single day. And then here you have Venus orbiting the sun. So I want you just to watch this with me and just be in amazement at the symmetry, the beauty, the geometry that these three bodies in our sky, one of which we live on, the other one of which uh, can be such an amazing force in your life, which is why I study her, which is why I'm doing these broadcasts. Uh, so that right there was a retrograde loop. We had one of these on March 22nd of this year, and the next one's going to happen in October of 2026. And what you'll notice after about 5 laps is the pattern that Miss Venus draws in the sky. When she's all the way out here, this is a superior conjunction. This is retrograde, and then an inferior conjunction, and then another superior conjunction. Do you see what's being traced here? I hope you're if you've never seen this before, that you are just in love with this image as I was the first time I saw it. I'll explain this to you right here. What's happening is that the sun went around the earth 8 times, so that's basically a unit of 8 years, and Venus drew in the sky a five-pointed star, like the pentagram that we can draw with our pen if we just keep going. And this is an infinite fractal structure because you can add points and the star gets bigger and bigger and bigger. Okay, so you have a five-pointed star in 8 Earth years, and Venus rotated the sun 13 times. So that means 13 Venus orbits, 8 Earth years, a five-pointed star. What you're creating here with this geometry is the Fibonacci sequence, the 1, the 2, the 3, the 5, the 8, the 13, the 21, 34, 55. And what this sequence does as it gets larger and larger and larger is it encodes the golden ratio phi 1.618, which is a polymath geometers, mathematicians' wet dream. The golden ratio is a beautiful, amazing number. I've been diving into some people's videos, sometimes at work while I'm waiting for something to happen, I get a little antsy, so I'll watch something. And I fell into the work of Dan Winter, and he loves phi. And he talks a lot of words that I don't understand, but that's just a matter of me absorbing it and taking some time to think about what he's saying. And he talks about this spiral of phi. And when we're working with astrology, we're working with a sphere. And when we look at a chart, we've got a slice of that sphere in the sky. That's the ecliptic that we're looking at. And the geometry of the universe is based on a circle that spirals. That is evolution. That is the foundation of what Venus is showing us. Another thing that's so incredibly amazing about this arrangement is that when Venus is in her retrograde loop, so if we back it up a little bit and we put her, let's see, right here, right here, that is the closest to planet Earth any other planet gets. In fact, it is so close that it will affect the tides. It's ratio speaking, it's minuscule, like 1/100th of what the moon would be, but it's still measurable. And that's another body in the solar system that's basically the same size. She's got almost a perfectly spherical orbit around the sun, which is very rare in nature. Normally, you get elliptoid orbits around the sun. Venus is perfectly spherical. Her orbit takes longer than her day, or is shorter than her full day. So, in other words, Venus will not turn. A day on Venus is longer than her year because she is tidally locked with Earth and the sun. And every time she takes this retrograde path, the same face of Venus is facing Earth. All of these things are just so amazing to me. This planet is so special and so important for what we're doing. So I love this. I use phi in my decodes because of this. because I think when we're actually trying to get at the structures of the universe, this is what we're looking at. I had one more show and tell for you, but I'm going to show you the sky first and then the chart, and then I'm going to give you the intro to the PowerPoint and do the show and tell. Okay. Let's take a walk outside, so we're doing constellational astrology. I'm telling you that Venus is entering Taurus. I'm telling you that Venus, as far as the tropical astrologers go, is they're not giving you the right coordinates for Venus's location in space. And I think that's very important. I think we could get away with it a few thousand years ago when the difference was maybe a couple degrees off. But the difference between tropical and constellational astrology is about 21 to 24 degrees. And the only place that they share, like, really well right here is tropicals at the end of their Taurus season, and we are at the beginning. So we sort of share this space. So they will tell you Venus is in Taurus for now, but in a couple of days, you will start to see memes, Venus going into Gemini. That's not true. That won't happen until the 30th of July. And I want to show you that. So we'll watch the movement. And we are here on 6/28. And I am at stellarium-web.org. And all I'm going to do is just forward the date, just one day at a time. I'm going to go all the way to July 30th. And I want you to watch Venus right here. And there's Mr. Uranus next to the Pleiades. So here we go. So as we go day by day, that conjunction between Uranus and Venus perfects on the 4th of July, conjunct the Pleiades. Their conjunction separates. And you can see Venus approaching what we call the Silver Gate area of the sky. So don't let anybody fool you. Venus will not be here at this point. Venus will not get into the Silver Gate until the end of July. Right here. Right at the tip of Orion's sword, right at the feet of the twins, and right at the horns of the bull. This is the outer bands of the galactic center. This is exactly 180 degrees from the galactic center from Ophiuchus. Orion is the mirror of Ophiuchus. Okay, and the sun is dead center in Cancer. So that's the transits we're going to watch. It's very layered. It's very complex, but I promise you by the end of this, you will understand what we're dealing with in terms of our creative energy. So there's that. Let me show you the chart in motion. And then I want to do a little show and tell, just so you can get an idea what Venus energy feels like, how I envision it. All right, so this is today in the chart. So what we were just watching is this area of the sky right here. We saw Sun and Jupiter. They just had their conjunction. Wasn't that wonderful? Oh my goodness. When Venus gets over here, you guys, in August, it's going to be very, very, very nice. Let's watch this chart move. We're going to go through this day by day as well. Here's Venus. There's the conjunction perfecting on the 4th. And there's Venus making her way. And you can see the aspects are not too bad. The square to the nodes might be a little challenging towards the end right here. But there we go. And you can see when Venus steps foot into Gemini, almost exactly 180 degrees from the galactic center. So Orion is like an inverse mirror image of Ophiuchus, except Orion has the sword and Ophiuchus has the serpent. So there we have it. There's that. Let me stop sharing real quick, because what I want to show you. See, I sit around and I think about ways to create analogies so you guys understand the crazy downloads that I get sometimes. If you'll recall the work I did as Venus was traveling through Pisces during the retrograde, I got a lot of white serpent downloads and, all kinds of amazing ethereal energy. It was crazy. So I lit a candle. It's been burning a little bit. And I want you to watch. It's going to be right by the camera lens. I want you to watch the smoke rise. Just watch it rise. This is what Venus energy is. It's very subtle, right? When I was describing how it works with the other planets, it's a particularly subtle energy unless you're tuned into it, except when it's conjunct Uranus. That's when it shocks you. That's when you add a little bit of electricity to what I'm going to show you. All right, so here we go. All right, I'm just going to try to not burn myself. Here we go. So do you see how that smoke is just sort of coiling up? You can probably slow the video down, and it would be more of what like the Venus energy might be like. But instead of smoke, think of it as like a plasmoid mist, fourth dimensional light, an etheric cloud, a nimbus, if you will, that sole purpose is to give you creative force throughout your body to experience the world that you and the creator have co-created, or you and source have co-created. That's her job, to experience that for source and send that back. That's where enlightenment comes from. So this subtle energy, it rises, it coils, it flows around things, and that's what I want you to think about when we think about this Venus energy, when I start talking about it. So let's get into this. I have some notes here. I usually it springboards me and then I just start flowing. So the story that I'm about to tell you, it's a myth. Okay. I want you to imagine the person of Venus. I want you to take on the character of Venus and pretend it's you. So pretend it's your sky. Pretend that you are the one returning to the temple in Taurus. You've been through the whole zodiac and now you're finally home. All right. You're a morning star. You're refined. You've birthed your creation. You're ready to return home to be barefoot, singing to your seeds, walking through your garden. But when you get there, Uranus is there, and Uranus has burned the curtains and stomped in your floorboards and rearranged your furniture, and all your pets are missing. So Venus comes home and Uranus is basically, trash the place, change the place, rearrange the place. And what happens, especially in this conjunction, is that Venus doesn't get angry. She doesn't react like Mars. She doesn't expand like Jupiter. She doesn't get cold and angry and destructive like Pluto. No, instead, she sort of molds herself to the situation and creates from that chaos. And she loves that. That's one of her most favorite and most potent areas of creation, is when there's chaos. So this union is going to be very, very interesting. And the blog post I did the other day talking about this it's called "It's Only Weird the First Time," right? Because when these two energies come together, it's like you get a shock to your system, but then something really magical starts to happen. Within that chaos, you get clarity. Weird becomes wonderful. Disruption becomes divine, and something ancient starts to stir in you. And when I described to you the relationship between Venus and Uranus, for those of you that don't know, you'll probably laugh when you hear about this. So let me show you some slides. We're going to get into the myth. We're just going to kind of settle into the story, and then we'll do a little decoding as we go. It should be fun. And then for those of you that want the astrology only, after this is uploaded, there'll be timestamps to go right to the transit. So if you guys don't want to do the decode, you can do that. But who doesn't want to watch a decode? I think they're so cool. And it's really, really fun when it comes through and you see the synchronicities. It's almost like you have to laugh. All right. Weird, wild, cosmic. So I did the cubist art here. I said, chat, draw me a picture of a feminine in cubist returning home to her temple to find the chaotic energy of Uranus. And at first, because of everything that I was sort of thinking about, it said, I can't generate this image for you because it violates the community standards. And I was like, well, what kind of prompt did you give, Sora? So we had to do a community-friendly or a guidelines-friendly prompt to get this picture. I didn't really want anything weird. It's just the chat kind of gets drunk sometimes and says silly things. So this is the code. We're going to talk about the past. We're going to talk about the homecoming. We're going to talk about the serpent of light, which you just saw with that candle. The morning star meets the creator. July 4th of 2025, which is when Venus and Uranus perfect, and then the transits, Act 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, and 3. The keys, the Phi cipher. I love this cipher so much. It takes the irrational string of digits from dividing say 21 by 13, and you get these digits in there aligned with the alphabet. You can get this cipher and many, many others at decode.co. Logan of Decode Your Reality, who I love to watch, has provided this for free for people that love to decode. So if you're into it, I would go play with it and see what comes up for you. It's very, very interesting. And then the cards and the tarot numbers come from cosmicsugar.org under resources. So you guys can check that out. So we'll start with the past. So, Venus has been around the wheel a little bit. She's been through Aries this past month. It's been pretty nice the last couple of weeks. A nice kind of sort of quiet time, resetting time, sort of focusing on your destiny here as Venus has been sextile the North Node and trine to your South Node. This Gemini new moon was very, very interesting. The Ophiuchus moon was fire. I don't know about you guys, but I got home from my vacation on the 8th, all serene, and then all of a sudden, bam, bam, bam. This weekend was charged up. And then with all the new energy with Sun and Gemini and this energy with the sextile and the trine to the North nodes, things have settled down a little bit. Although it's still pretty chaotic out there. I'm hoping that as Venus, enters Taurus, things will be a little bit calmer, but then we have this conjunction we have to deal with. So I am going to talk about that right now. The homecoming. So she's come home to this crazy site, where, well, she hasn't seen her house yet. So the story starts with her in her home, the goddess at home. So I've spoken to you about Venus ruling Taurus. Here's another version of Venus that chat gave me. It just makes me laugh. He's so funny. When Venus is here in Taurus, this is her temple. This is her womb of embodiment. She doesn't have to achieve here. She doesn't have to chase love. She's not negotiating value. She literally knows that she's the rock star and doesn't even have to try. So there's a stable pleasure here that doesn't need to be earned and that doesn't need to be chased. There's a deeper kind of wealth here. When you're so wealthy that you can give all your money away, like Keanu Reeves and Tesla and Donald Trump and those guys and their level of wealth, it's literally that level where you don't even care about it. You don't even care about your stuff. You don't even care about money. Money's just a thing. But it can also be the same thing about your spirit and your soul, the wealth of your spirit, the wealth of your soul, how you feel about yourself, your self-esteem. Venus is here singing to the seeds, tending to it, teaching us that love is not a lightning bolt, that you should trust the soil beneath your feet. Some of you are probably smiling because she's about to make contact with Uranus. And so this is a very savory energy. You can really sit here and smell the roses, and it's really, really beautiful, and it'll give you inspiration. It'll nurture you on your creative path. The value that you provide the world is not something that you have to find or something that you have to perform. It's literally something that you just do. It's less about being a consumer and buying things and becoming like an artist of your own abundance. So slow down here as Venus is here. It's going to be weird with Uranus, but if you slow down, you can see those electric shocks coming. You can sense the hum in your field. And that's the real power. And that's Venus at home. Now, I like Venus as the Empress card. It literally has her sign on it. Okay. So there it is. And this just sings Venus and Taurus to me. It's also the 3 energy, which is expansion. It feels very expansive right now. Chaos is a byproduct of expansion. So if you're seeing chaos in your field, the other side of that is things are expanding. But there she is, just sitting in luxury and nature, in this beautiful silken dress. She probably doesn't have any underwear on under there, just hanging out, being completely feminine and beautiful. An Empress is 33. It's 2 3s. It's a master number. This is my life path number. If I add up all the numbers of my birthday, 8, 04, 1974, I get 33. And of course, the 33rd prime is 137, which is the fine structure constant. It is the number that precedes 138. And 138 is the Phoenix orbital periodicity. It's the cycle of resets. It's where between these two numbers is literally the fine structure constant. And it's what makes our world sort of shimmer a little bit. So it helps things move. It helps things get unstuck from a circle that they're stuck in, because the circle never quite meets back up with itself. And that's the magic of that 137 and 138. And that's why it's a reset. If you take Venus's sidereal orbit in days and you divide it by phi, you get 138 or ish. I just think that's so amazing. In fact, all of our planets are related in some way to one or both of these numbers. So interesting. So there's the goddess at home. So now you saw the candle, you saw that serpent of light, you saw that fourth dimensional energy. And if you see my work on Venus and Pisces and the white serpents, the white dragons, you can understand that this is more like the Kundalini energy that flows through your nadis. So when we think of Venus as the serpent of light, this is not like superficial beauty, right? This is not makeup. This is not looking at yourself in the mirror. This is a coiling force of radiant fourth dimensional light. This is an energy that awakens through touch, through music, through texture, through pleasure. It's not just the planet of love, right? Of course, that's all there. It helps us fall in love, but it's consciousness that travels through your nervous system. Okay, and Uranus is the ruler of your nervous system. So, when Uranus comes home or when Uranus shows up in your house, you're going to get a hum. You're going to feel it. If you're tuned into this, it won't be as dramatic or as chaotic as it can be. So the divine wants to be felt. It wants to be experienced. Sensation is sacred. The body is the altar. This is why in a lot of ancient traditions, Venus was associated with snakes, roses, spirals, the serpentine energy, the phi spiral. It's winding, it's weaving, it's whispering, it's non-linear. It's moving through our nadis, through the chakras, and through the hidden geometry of our ethereal being. So when you tune into Venus, it's not just about feeling the body, right? It's the enlightenment of the senses, knowing what those senses mean to your spirit and to your soul. And when you can tap into that, it activates you. It activates your ability to create, your ability to heal your own body, to heal other people, to transmit your divine codes into the material world. So you become a vessel when you understand this. And it isn't just about creating for the fun or for the pleasure of it. Yeah, there is something to that. But it's how we echo the divine. We were created from energy. We are the creators of source. We are the children of God. And when we create using that spark, that serpent of light, we are the creators and we love what we create. And even there's even some reality creation gurus out there that say that you create everything you see. You've even created me. So if you're resonating with this message, which happens to be the 13th slide, then you already know. This is something that is truth for you. And this is my truth, by the way. So if this doesn't interest you when we're discussing this, that's totally fine. Like, you don't have to believe this. This is just how I resonate with it and connect with it. And it's impacted my life and changed it in ways that are absolutely wonderful. So I feel like it's not necessarily like a luxury kind of energy. It's a frequency. It's a transmission. It's like you remember who you are when you wake up to this. So dragon is 33. I love that. The magic of the 33. And pi and phi together are 33. So the words I'm speaking, of course, they're metaphor. They're just representing a concept that sometimes, guys, is really difficult to verbalize in ways that everybody can understand. Venus is the high priestess of desire. This is a little decode that I put in my Venus retrograde so that we would understand her a little bit more. And white nagas is 45. 45 is Fibonacci if you spell that in the phi cipher. The element scandium has both 21, which is Nagas, and 45. It's connected by its atomic mass and its elemental number. And look at the picture. Look at the picture. This is alchemy here. The Royal Chemistry Society didn't plan this because they knew I was giving a talk on who Venus is. You know, what are Nagas? Nagas are the half serpent, half human deities of Hindu religion, of Hindu culture. And these people had superpowers. They could do things. They could create. They were, so that serpentine energy is associated with the ability to do magic. Here's another connection, which is interesting. If you take the number 45 and you put it into the string 618033, which is the digits after the decimal place in phi, it's the 21st digit. So there it is, just through the actual like line code. So we did a little numbers to words. We did a little bit of elements to kind of turn the key a little bit. And then here we are right in the line of code. It's the 21st digit in the phi string. It's just amazing. So Venus is also the morning star. Look at that, slide 21. Right now, she has two phases. She can be an evening star or a morning star. So you will see Venus in the morning before the sun rises. And so this phase of the cycle, if you've been following my work, it's a very intense retrograde. If you didn't notice Venus before, you would have at that point. And then you will also notice Venus as she crashes into Uranus. But Venus will always, through this retrograde phase, birth. She'll die and she'll birth. And it's an underworld initiation. Then when she's reborn as the morning star, she's released what no longer serves. She's reemerged. She's the sovereign goddess, the warrior priestess, the illuminated heart, right? An energy that has survived trials and chose to radiate anyway and to herald the dawning of the sun. So she announces the light of the pre-dawn sun, bringing the codes of what's coming. It's Venus with a vision, Venus with a little bit of edge, Venus with knowing, an artist who creates to decorate and in disruption. She's commanding the field here. So in this phase, Venus will activate your creative courage. You'll find yourself a little bit more bold here. She pushes you to step into visibility, to own your desires, to take up space, not just in love, but in value. And she's not waiting to be chosen here because she'll choose herself. And she asks you to do the same. So it's a very independent creativity, right? So now we come to the star of the hour, the morning star, 75. And I thought it was so interesting that element number 33 has an atomic mass of 75. It's arsenic. It's a poison. But there's the number 33 coming up for us again, just by using the name morning star and knowing the atomic mass of this element. I saw it and I laughed. I was like, oh, of course. So there's Uranus waiting in her house. Everything's sort of, This is the juicy part though, right? So this isn't the quiet garden we were expecting. Venus is coming home with the lights flickering and the furniture rearranged, and the sky god of disruption, evolution, and electricity has been sitting in her home since 2023. He's shaken our financial systems, redefined our relationships to land, to value, to worth, asking us to anchor our new individuality into the earth. This is evolutionary, revolutionary energy, liberating energy. And now Venus meets him face to face. And here's their backstory for those of you that don't know. Uranus is the OG sky god, the grandfather of all of the mythology, right? The original sky. And Saturn, which was the son of Uranus, cut off the phallus of Uranus and threw it into the ocean because he was overtaking the throne. So Uranus fell from the throne, Kronos took over, and the phallus of Kronos fell into the sea, and that was how Venus was born. So she was born from the ruptured chaos of Uranus and the gentle waters of the sea to become the evening and the morning star that we know. So they're related to one another, okay? Uranus is her origin. And from this severed lineage from the chaos itself, the serpent of creation meets the current of awakening, and we get wild beauty. We get sudden love. We get the chaos of reinvention. There's a flow here, an adaptation that Venus can do, absorbing the shock of Uranus and turning it into a song. So a lot of creativity, a lot of original creativity energy in the air if you know how to tap into this. It's about revelation. And what you might feel is strange impulses, flashes of insight, weird attractions, like sudden shifts. Let it come, but stay grounded. Give yourself a break. Don't judge yourself. Sometimes, strange things can come through. Venus can handle this voltage because she transforms Uranus as well. So think of this chaos as your paint can, and you're the artist, you're the alchemist. You are able to take that puddle of water and, this pile of trash and turn it into something beautiful. Like do something creative in spite of the chaos. Not in spite of it, but like because of it. So I hope that makes sense. It's just very, very powerful. And I love this time of year. So I gave Uranus the star card. Now you could call this Venus's card too, but I get a lot of Aquarian energy when I think about the star card, and Aquarius is ruled by Uranus. I think that there are some other options you could use in the tarot deck, but they seem to me more as results of the flowing divine knowledge that Uranus is transmitting and giving to us. So I really like Uranus as the star. Like Venus could be the star. This could be the Pleiades as well, because there's 7 stars here and the central sun. So it's fitting that we use this card, though, for Uranus in this particular decode because Uranus is actually conjunct the Pleiades. So if you have another idea for Uranus's card, let me know in the comments, because this one just really resonated with me. You can also maybe use the Tower. That's another energy of Uranus, that lightning bolt, that disruption. But Uranus doesn't really destroy per se. It's more of a transformation, a metamorphosis, and this feels very Plutonian to me. So the result of the transformation or the metamorphosis is the destruction of things that no longer serve, or things that you normally would have been attached to, which is all egoic, which is Pluto's job. So I think Pluto gets the Tower card. You could also think of maybe 21, the World card, as Uranus's card, because if you put Uranus in the Phi cipher, you get 21. But when you look deeper into this card, you notice there's almost an Ouroboros here. This is the snake eating its tail. This is the zodiac ecliptic. This is the belt holding us in. And these are the 4 biblical characters here. So this is the sort of the Bible, the confined, rigid structures we've been in. And so I give that one to Earth. I give Earth the World card. It just makes sense. It's the world. Earth is Earth. Even though 21 could be used because of the numerology. So Uranus is 21 in the Phi cipher. Phi is 21 in the Phi cipher. And then the letter Phi is the 21st letter in the Greek alphabet. I didn't realize that. That was a new find for me. I was like, of course, that totally makes sense. Absolutely. And here we have the 33rd slide, and we have Uranus and Venus looking at each other. And I'm just going to pause a moment and ask you, if you guys that know my work, do you see it? Do you see it? Like, give me a thumbs up, say hello. Do you see what I see? I have a 3 and a 1-7. So what's that? That's the 137. That's the fine structure constant. That's the Phoenix periodicity. in numerology, you can interpolate the numbers. You can move them around as long as they show up. And they show up on the 33rd slide, which is so amazing because the 33rd prime is 137. And I didn't plan it this way because the way I do these, guys, is I throw everything into one proof on one slide. Then I write out all the astrology for you if I do writing, or I generate the graphics and I throw them in there, and then I organize it. So I have no idea where the slides will land. This is just to show you why I'm using tarot, because Venus conjunct Uranus, if you put that in the 5 cipher 78, there's 78 cards in the tarot deck if you use the Fool twice. But check this out. So 317, if you put that in the string of digits for pi, it happens to be the 137th decimal digit of pi. So even though I did a little numerology trick where I switched the digits around, it's in the code anyway, right here, to be switched around and be associated with the number 33 and 137. And of course, pi is the circle, phi is the spiral, and 33 is the evolution. If you multiply 3 times 17, you get 51. So what, Dr. Danny? Well, Venus in Taurus is 51 in the 5 cipher. So you can multiply them together. You can rearrange their numbers and make a compound number like we just did here. And you can add them together. So we just did all the manner of operations to these numbers that bore out some interesting energy. And 3 plus 17 is 20. Venus is 20. So interesting, right? And 41 happens to be the 13th prime number. And if you put 13, THIRTEEN, in the 5 cipher, you get the number 33 also. I really need to put together a list of all the words that are 33 in the 5 cipher for you guys. We can bring in the elements here with the conjunction of these two energies. And we get the 3rd element, which is lithium, and the 17th element, which is chlorine. And let's see where I went with this. I almost forgot. Okay, so I added their atomic masses together, which is 7 and 35, and I get the number 42. Life, the universe, and everything, right? Molybdenum is 42. Its atomic mass is 95. Watch what happens when you put its atomic mass and its atomic number together. This is basically adding the electrons, protons, and neutrons together. You get 137. So through the tarot, through the numbered tarot deck, through the code in the string of digits, and then through the alchemy, we get the 137. Just stunning. It's just amazing. And then 45 right here, white Nagas. So I knew that lithium and chlorine, when combined, create lithium chloride. It rung a bell for me in my medical studies. And I know lithium has been and is used as a treatment for bipolar depressive disorder. Not lithium chloride in its current form, but that's the first form they used. And wow, it caused so many problems to nervous systems. Like people had weird seizures, epileptic fits, like twitches and things like that. They would also recommend this for patients with hypertensive disease. Before they had high blood pressure medicines, they would say, here, go get some lithium chloride and use that to season your food. Yeah, medicine isn't perfect. If you guys trust medicine, you want to come at it with a grain of lithium chloride salt, so to speak. But if you put LiCl, which is the nomenclature for lithium chloride, you get 17, which is Uranus's card. So let's look at the date itself that these two perfect their beautiful conjunction. 7/4/2025 is 56. And this, oh my gosh, that's just a slam dunk right there. That's 1 + 1 is 2. You don't even have to do any numerology. You just look up the 56 element and then you're brought right to the fine structure constant. And I'm hammering the fine structure constant because I need to show you, for those of you that don't know, what the Phoenix angle is. We're going to discuss one of those today, and I'll reiterate the importance of this number. Freedom, which is our Independence Day here in the United States, July 4th, 2025, is also 33. Uranus is about freedom, about revolution, about evolution. And of course, 137 is the 33rd prime. So a nice little decode. There's the 51 again, which is Venus and Taurus. You can also add the numbers up like this. It doesn't really matter. They both reduce to 2. But again, this, if you do it with the single digits, it comes to 20, and Venus is 20. The card for this day is 37. Now, this one might be a reach. I think this is the last one. It's the Jack of Diamonds. The Jack of Diamonds is the 37th card in the Cards of Illumination deck. Spirals, if you type that out in the Phi cipher, is 37. I said, okay, that's interesting. But look at this. So July 4th is day 185 this year. And I knew 185 meant something, but I put it in the number empire. You can go there and look at the properties of numbers. And it gave me 5 times 37, which is 5 spirals, which, by the way, if you multiply pi times phi, you get a number just a little bit bigger than 5.08. So 5 spirals is 42 in the Phi cipher. Molybdenum, 42 and 95 is 137. Are you guys tired of this yet? I just think this is so cool. So I think we're into the transits now. Yep, we're going to do that next. So just a really wonderful connection to literally the code that runs our universe. I love showing this to you guys. So what I want to do now is get into the actual transits that Venus will be dealing with. And hold your hats, y'all, because it's literally, this is the map, okay? When I finished putting it together, I said, holy smokes, these guys are going to turn off the YouTube as soon as they see this. But I promise you, by the time I'm done with you, this won't take long, 20, 30 minutes, we will get through this and you guys will understand what Venus is transiting through and moving through. We have a lot of retrograde energy, a lot of stationing planets this month. So a lot of shifts coming, a lot of chaos. And that's really where Venus is happiest because there's so much potential to create from and to work from. So here we go. This is the first trend. We're going to layer it up. So you're going to get these one by one. So we'll start with, we've already done the Uranus transit. This is Venus conjunct Uranus with the peak on September 4th, or September, where did I get September from? On July 4th. On that same day, Neptune stations retrograde, and we will talk about that. But the very first energy that we pick up, that's a new energy besides Venus conjunct Uranus, which will last pretty much today until the 10th of July. So get ready for that peak. It'll peak on the 4th. It'll start waning away after that and then dissipate after the 10th. The next energy we get while Venus and Uranus are conjunct, the Pleiades together in Taurus, you have Venus trining a retrograde Pluto. That's this purple line here. This is from the 1st of July to the 11th of July. So imagine coming home after your journey around the zodiac. Your house is a mess, but this is chaos. This just turns you on a little bit. You're like, let's go, Uranus. Let's do some kink. Let's make this happen. So now she's working with Pluto, the underworld elder. And remember that greater structure that's in the sky that will be with us for quite a while is, and I'll show you a chart shortly, is Pluto trying to Uranus. That's going to be with us for years probably. And in the middle of that, you have Neptune conjunct Saturn that are both sextiling the Uranus and the Pluto. So we have all the OGs in the sky in this trine sextile formation, this basket, and Venus is accessing and tapping into one of those nodes here with a trine to Pluto and a conjunction to Uranus. This is a harmony energy, okay? This is not a battle. This is a blessing. Because when Uranus is in your house making chaos, you need an energy like Pluto to get rid of it, to destroy it, because you don't need it. Okay, there's a sacred current flowing here between value and power, between beauty and truth. Pluto in Capricorn dismantles false authority, right? And over the next 15 years, he's going to do more than just break down the empire. He's going to show us the rot beneath it, the illusion behind the titles. And Venus is approaching as a sovereign morning star, as a force. So get intimate with your power. You know, the kind that magnetizes things to you, not the kind that dominates or tells people what to do, but what's truly your internal power. Radiating truth, not trying to control. Venus says to Pluto, I create. And Pluto says, well, make it eternal, sweet thing. And so this is an alchemical potency here. You can turn pain into poetry. You can unravel a lineage of shame. You can fuse sensual intelligence with soul authority. And Venus will soften Pluto's sharp edge. And Pluto will bring a depth to Venus's radiance and hum. So this is intense. This is intense energy. That's why I'm going through them one by one. We're giving you one drop at a time so you guys can see what's going on here. So you see how this trine can serve the greater conjunction of Venus and Uranus. All right. So yeah, basically the power of being fully you. And a lot of that comes with release. Oh, but it gets better. It keeps going. There's more energy here, more that you have to deal with. Now, Venus will make a square to asteroid Lilith. Asteroid Lilith is in Aquarius right now. Venus is in Taurus. They are making a hard angle to one another. They're of the same essence. In other words, I feel like the asteroids, they're all divine feminine goddess archetypes, are fractals of the complete full divine feminine that is Venus. And so this is a fractured piece of Venus that you have the opportunity here to recollect. And it lasts from July 1st to July 9th. So again, 3 transits, all peaking right around the weekend of Independence Day weekend. Sparks will fly, maybe. So with this square, it's a personal tension, right? Like I said, there are 2 aspects of the divine feminine. Venus is sensual. She's speaking through beauty, touch, rhythm, connection. She's magnetic. She's receptive. She's rooted in the body. But Lilith is raw, right? She's the voice that refuses to shrink. And she demands to be autonomous and to be left alone. She's also retrograde, which means she's a little bit more electric, a little bit more unfiltered. And she's got questions for Venus. This is what the square might feel like. It's like, okay, you got all this weird stuff going on. Maybe you're like, oh, is that too weird? Should I be into that? And then Lilith is going to ask you, why does your pleasure have to be polite? Why does your desire have to be discreet? Why does your beauty have to obey any rules? Right? So again, Venus is not the kind of energy that's going to fight back or resist this. She's going to be stirred. There's going to be a friction that can feel like an irritation, a rebellion in your body, in your relationships. You might feel compelled to say no when you're usually smiling. And that's okay. Uranus is allowing you to express that side of yourself and to release that dynamic that you've subdued. And Lilith wants you to express that. So she wants every woman, every divine feminine, every creator, every vessel, life force to remember her true voice. So don't abandon your softness, but stand in your power and don't apologize, right? Like if you feel like you have to apologize, don't. That's a really, really constructive way to use this square. But wait, there's more. There's more going on this weekend. You ready? Here we have Venus in a sextile to Saturn and Neptune. And while Neptune stations retrograde. And then right after she releases that sextile, Saturn goes retrograde the following weekend. So Neptune retrograde, and these 2 are conjunct one another. Okay, so in between these 2 stationing energies, you've got Venus trine Pluto, Venus square Lilith, Venus sextile Saturn and Mars, and Venus conjunct to Uranus. And I think that's all that's going on. So this is Act 1, okay? This is what I was talking about when I said Act 1. And to top it all off, it is leading up to the next full moon, which is an intense energy anyway. It's energy in motion, emotion. So If you got sensitive spots in your chart and you're tapped into this, this will be a heightened energy for you. And it will peak and crest on the 10th. So now we've got this Venus making a sacred exchange with these two OGs, Saturn and Neptune. She's reaching towards the dreamer and the architect, right? Neptune has got that cosmic blueprint, the divine whisper, and Saturn has the scaffolding, the spine, the karma. And Venus is saying, hey, what am I ready to make beautiful and permanent and true? So this is where these guys are going to help you out when you feel that uncomfortable energy, when you're feeling that flow of letting something go, when you're stepping into something you've never even thought of or tried to deal with before. These stationing planets are going to hold that space for you. So feel what you've long imagined. Like it might be something that you haven't thought of in a really long time too. Like if that comes to you in your dreams or sort of resurfaces for you, don't shun it away. Like bring it up. Say, okay, I'm seeing that again. What does that mean? You know, you want to be very grounded in that inspiration and energy that comes through, because this is very potent. Neptune is not a joke. The downloads that come through are super mystical, you know. And then Saturn is like the OG teacher that helps you manifest your reality. So these 2 weeks here should provide us some excellent clarity as the full moon crests and spikes. And of course, we have these retrogrades. And the way that I would feel out this Neptune retrograde is the veil is lifting too. So there's some sort of exposure. Something's being exposed here as well. And then when Saturn goes retrograde, you feel a little less like you're being driven. You feel like the drive is released a little bit and you can sort of coast, you know, when you coast on your bicycle. But you don't want to coast for too long. You want to kind of keep tending to things, because when Saturn goes direct again, you can get slapped, you can get smacked. Here's the chart for that full moon, what we're looking at here with Venus. So here she is. As that conjunction wanes, you've got that, you can see how she's activating this Pluto, Uranus, and then Saturn, Neptune energy. So that's what I wanted to point out, that this was a combination, and that's why we're feeling it. And then there's the square back to Lilith. Okay. So that's what we're looking at. All right. Act two. Oh, this is my past self reminding you that if you're enjoying this content and you love Venus, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Be a channel member too if you'd like. And then this is my offering for my Venus forecast videos. Is you get basically 12 weeks of the transiting Venus and how she is aspecting back to your natal planets. So we get to know your entire chart, but we also get to know how Venus sees your chart and how the transiting Venus affects your natal energy. So if you want to sort of figure out how to feel into the subtle energies of Venus, this is a great way to do it. These are my favorite videos to do. So sometimes they're up to 2 hours long. I just love doing them. And then we will do a follow-up call if you decide to do that. So the first part of it is recorded. If you guys want to do it live, that's fine too. Just reach out to me and let me know. But typically going through all of the stuff, it just takes me about anywhere from 60 to 90 minutes to get it all out. So this is a great offer. This is a great reading. I actually just got an awesome review from a recent client. I have people that get 1 or 2 or 3 of these a year to kind of keep up with their Venus energies. So there it is. A client who I got this yesterday. They said that she really appreciated the Venus transits. So consider that. The links are below. All right. Act 2 is Venus with Mars in a square. This square is going to last from July 13th all the way to July 31st. So what is a square with Mars? Okay, this happens a couple times a year. This is nothing to get really excited about or scared about. But when relationships shift, it's usually around this kind of energy. Because these two are always trying to harmonize one another. They're always trying to find a balance. And they're a symbiotic energy, the divine feminine and the sacred masculine. Venus is the creative force that's flowing, like that candle smoke you saw. And Mars attains enlightenment by enacting the will of the creator, and the creator is the Venus. It's you. And so what does Venus want? Mars is here to do. And Mars, when it's tapped into that, when the action that you take feels inspired, it's because these two are harmonized very nicely, right? So if everything that you do it because you love it, or you're doing it because you want to help somebody, or because it turns you on and gets you excited, then that's Mars and Venus working very nicely together. So this is a transmutation transit. So you take passion and you turn it into purpose. And whatever we're going to go through here in Act 1 is stabilizing your energy for this. You'll find out what you're actually capable of once the full moon passes. And Mars is going to transit from Leo into Virgo during this transit, which will make for a very interesting shift between these two energies trying to balance each other. So it's raw, it's passionate, it can be dramatic energy. It flares up in desire, conflict, charisma, creative tension. It's the power couple arguing over who gets to lead. Only to realize that dancing is better when you're both listening. So a little bit of listening here, going, kind of feeling out where you can flow so that Mars can take your lead and show you the actions that you need to take. Mars is always silly when he's in reaction mode. So if you feel yourself getting heated up and reacting, that's when you just sort of like take a step back and take a higher look at how that reaction will help you or harm you. So Mars in Leo is a beautiful energy. It's got a vital life force. It's magnetic. It's charming. It's sexy. It's wonderful. And so Venus may be a little bit frustrated with this energy. Mars is approaching the South Node. And as he enters Virgo, you lose a little bit of his mojo. And so she'll be sort of tapping her foot, waiting for him to kind of get it together here as we get to the end of this transit. And it's longer because, like I said, Venus energy is real subtle, and we use a 7-degree orb, meaning that when she's within 7 degrees of an aspect, that's when it lights up. That's when you can feel it. So this is an invitation to sort of channel that heat from that tension into form, right? How can it help you create? So Mars says, I want it now. And Mars in Virgo says, let's make it real step by step. So Mars wants it, and then he realizes he's got to sort of work on it. And then Venus says, I deserve pleasure. And Mars says, let's build that container to hold it sustainably. So yeah, maybe some wild inspirations, wild downloads. I don't know. Maybe for me, it could be 100,000 views on this video. Wouldn't that be fun? And then that fills my space, and I have to kind of figure out how to work with it. And then afterwards comes the tension and trying to figure out how to handle all that chaos. So something like that, something big and beautiful could come into your life that you just don't have the space for yet, too. So really interesting month for Venus. Now, this Act 2 is also highlighted by some additional transits. We have this amazing Mercury sextile to Venus while Mercury is stationing. So at the very end of the direct motion, Mercury then stations and then goes retrograde, and it's a sextile energy. So when these two get together, it's creative genius. It's pure right and left brain working together. There's a real opportunity here to tap into your ability to think and your ability to solve problems and make calculations and your creative force. You bring them together and you use the heat from the square with Mars, plus all the inspiration that you got with this inner work around this full moon, and you can see some amazing things manifest here. Mercury and Venus look at an apple totally differently, right? Mercury looks at it, wants to weigh it, give it a price, tell you its color, its DNA structure, its binomial nomenclature. And then Venus wants to taste it, touch it, swallow it, feel it, smell it. And to put that right and left hemisphere energy together is like rocket scientist, painter, or a pianist that is also a brain surgeon. Okay, so that's this genius level energy here as Mercury stations retrograde. So, and remember, when Mercury's retrograde, y'all, Mercury's really close to Earth. This is Mercury's inferior conjunction and star point that will happen probably right around the 1st of August. Okay, so very nice support there to use that fire to create. And here's the sun entering into Cancer. So this is another shift that we will feel on the 24th of July. And you're going to hear tropical astrologers tell you that the sun is now in Leo at that point when it is not. So there it is. You can see it, not even close to Leo. We still have another month to go before the sun will be in Leo. And so sun moving from Gemini to Cancer, that's very shift. That's a big shift. A lot of people that were told that they were tropical Cancers find out that they're actually solar Geminis. And it makes sense to them because they've been told that they're supposed to be compassionate, empathetic, and nurturing when they've got this really sarcastic and evil side within them. And this is why. It's totally two different energies. So we're going from this curious energy, this energy of duality, to an energy of nurturing, to taking care of the self. So it's real important here to sort of feel into what it is, keep yourself grounded and tap into your inner self so you know what it is that you need. It makes you a better nurturer as well. Sun will also be in opposition to Pluto. And I believe that that new moon in July is a very, we'll get there. It's a very purging energy. Anything that's opposing Pluto feels like you have to purge things. And there's the sun in the sky, so you guys can see it in space. All right, so the next transit in Act 2, which is here, is Venus squaring the lunar nodes. So remember, she's finishing up this trine sextile to the lunar nodes. The next step is to make a square to the lunar nodes. So this can feel like a tension with where we want to go and where we've been. And it's not necessarily a bad thing. You have to sort of maybe not ask what you desire because you really don't have to question that. But why, right? Is it for the collective good, the greater good? Is it for yourself? Is it for others? Is it for your partner? Like, what are you creating and why? And this is a great opportunity to ask those questions. And I think it'll be ripe anyway, because your brain will be on fire as Mercury stations retrograde. And then you'll have this fire tension with Mars and Venus. So then Mercury will station retrograde when that transit picks up, and you may feel a little bit at odds and really questioning yourself, and that's okay. You need to question yourself. That's so important. So the next transit, as we get a little further in the month in Act 2, is Venus making a Phoenix angle, a golden Phoenix angle to retrograde Pluto. All right, y'all know I'm doing research on this angle to see what this feels like. Do you remember the Phoenix angle that we had right after that full moon in June? Was that not the most electric shock full moon? I think it's because we had a Phoenix angle with Venus. And here we have another one, and this is to Pluto. They're short. This is a short orb. It's like a flash of insight. It's like being able to see the code in the matrix just for that flash instant. And all of a sudden you have a realization. And this is the alchemy of the feminine, the phoenix rising through the body in a spiral, a sacred curve. And I'm going to talk about this angle. If you look at flowers, galaxies, DNA, they all have this golden phi proportion. And this angle comes from the golden phi proportion, which I'll show you in a minute. Pluto is normally about destruction, but not with this Phoenix angle. It's more about a rebirth that comes through the body, through the senses, through remembering that your creative force is the sustenance of your immortality. So I think it's going to be very interesting that after you use this heat to use creative genius, you're going to question your path, but you're going to have some creative insight along the way. So prepare for that. Prepare for that as Mercury stations retrograde. I always recommend that if you're not used to Mercury's retrograde energy and you really want to use it to tap into the inner dialogue, what's going on, be very mindful of what you're thinking around here, because you have the potential to get a revelation here. So we're almost through the month. I did want to just show you why I hammered the number 137 so much for this decode, why it just fell out, why it was the synchronicities that were meant to be seen, is because of pi and phi. So when you take pi, it's basically the circumference divided by the diameter. This is an irrational number. It goes on forever. Phi is also a ratio similar to pi. So if you take A and B such that the number is 1.618, this is the golden ratio. Okay. Watch how they're related. And I want to say it was Lady Rocks who showed me this, or ladies. It was one of you ladies, Lady Spellbreaker. One of you showed me this. And you take our circle, our chart, our birth charts, and you put a point here, let's say Venus, and you put another point over here, let's say Pluto, such that the length of A and the length of B create the golden phi ratio. The angle that they create, this little measurement right here, if you were to take a compass, a little flat compass or protractor, and line that up, you would see 137.5 degrees. Okay. To me, that's stunning. That's just, here's your circle using the phi ratio, creating the fine structure constant. And of course, 137 is 33, and pi and phi is 33. So we'll start the next lunation with a Cancer new moon. For those of you that are doing the membership monthly calls with me, I will be in Mexico this week here. So what we'll probably do is when I'm back, we'll talk about the whole lunar cycle. So we'll get you guys, I might put a video out first that will be published, and then we can talk about it the weekend I get back. So don't fear if we're not like kind of right on time in a monthly fashion. I just have to, it's my getaway trip. I'm not going to even do social media, I don't think, while I'm there. So here's the new moon. And this is what I was talking about with this sun moon conjunction here. This is Pluto opposing this. So this is a purging energy. This is where Mars is conjunct the south node. Might be feeling a little less energetic. We're losing our mojo here. It should get better after the new moon. So in other words, an increasing cycle of energy after July's full moon. But yeah, a lot of shifts, a lot of changes, a lot of stationing planets. Act 3, we'll probably review this again when we talk about Venus going into Gemini. But one of the last transits here is Venus trine to asteroid Lilith. So remember, she started this journey with a square, and now she's going to be in a trine. So this is just that sacred feminine kind of coming to terms. Like she says, okay, there's a shift here you need to make, and you go through it, and then you get the heat, and then you get the revelation, and then you question yourself, and then now she's working with you, right? So that's the new moon. So this might be some nice intentions to make around the new moon. It's really working with your raw inner truth as the next cycle comes. And then also that weekend, that last weekend in July, you guys, we get Venus sextile to Chiron. And this is a very, very nice energy. This is sexual healing. So if you're into that, if you know how to do that, great weekend to do that, especially with asteroid Lilith. After the initiation with Mars, she's still in her stars of Taurus. So she's feeling really grounded, really into the earth, really earthy and sensual. So good weekend to do that. And then the next wave comes. Okay, this is the final challenge of Venus and Taurus, and it's a square to the OGs. So I think I will leave that for our next video because that's going to last a little bit longer and into August. So thank you so much, you guys, for your time and attention with the presentation. I know I can be a little bit long-winded and talk about this, but I just love Venus energy so much. I think it's so amazing. And I'm not kidding when I say that my life did like a 180 when I started studying the Venus energy. It's almost like a magical synchronicities just come out of nowhere. It's almost like you can't even stop it. And I'm not saying that there isn't a lot of change, there isn't a lot of evolution that you have to do, but it really is a wonderful energy for just being a creative person, So what do you guys think about that? Did you enjoy the presentation? Desiree says, looking at Dr. D all snazzy. Well, actually, this is my little hack. So I have a t-shirt dress on because I had just gotten up from my nap. So I threw this jacket on and it just kind of sharpens the whole thing. Yeah, Brenda, I'm glad you're here. I'm glad you're able to catch it live. Let's see. And then Nikki, of course, was here. And Sprout Queen went over to Facebook. But thanks for coming over here and leaving a comment. We appreciate you. Nikki sees 555 all the time. 55 is a Fibonacci number. Let's see what else. Lori's son is having his 29th solar return today. Wow. Yeah, they grow up so quickly, don't they? It's amazing. Yeah, step into flow has a good point. It's his Saturn return, right? So he's working on becoming responsible. Lori's been writing. Have Bliss says, hello, souls. Or hi, souls. Nikki says, Uranus has been with my natal Venus since moving into Taurus. Even my taste in music has changed. Isn't that interesting? It's so amazing how this stuff works. I'm really enjoying doing the live consultations as opposed to the recordings. I may be shifting next year into just doing those and having one-on-one, because when you're exchanging energy with people, you can learn about these, how they're experiencing things, and I just love that. Another thing I've noticed with Venus energy, you guys, I don't know, a lot of people, family, friends are having new babies come into their life, and the announcements have been all surrounded around the Venus retrograde. So it's almost as if all these babies have been consummated at the time when Venus was at her peak retrograde, and now we're just finding out. So a lot of new babies out there too. Elite Saviors is best 13 astrology reporting I've been able to find. Q+++, Alpha Prime Commander 0, where we go one, where we go all. Yeah. Have Bliss says my natal Saturn is in Taurus, 8th house. So I appreciate the Venus help here. Yeah, so Venus rules your Saturn. And you've got the Saturn in your 8th house, which is the sexiest house in your chart. It's sex, death, and secrets, right? So Saturn 8th house tends to be a problem, reaction, solution kind of energy. So no offense, if you're not that way, sorry, but that's what I see. It's like they're the best crisis managers there are. And so if you don't have a crisis to fix, you may create them, or you may used to have created them, and maybe you learned that about yourself. But yeah, having Venus rule that energy means that there's a little bit more of a creative problem, reaction, solution scenario. So yeah, so if you notice that pattern, then you just kind of pull back out of other people's dramas and try not to instigate their dramas. If they come to you, then that's great. Bliss says, like me, commando. Yeah, like the Empress card. I'm just reading your comments. Oh, Vasteka's here. Cool. Hey, Vasteka. Oh, guys, there's also been rumblings of having a live get together at some point. And I'm thinking that May next year feels really, really resonant with that for me. And what I thought I would do is, because I love to do like road trips. So what I thought I'd do is like maybe find some yoga studios on my journey and pop into those and teach some astrology and just kind of tell you guys where I'm going. Or Nikki, I don't know, because of ISAA, you guys might be the central hub of arranging sort of conferences for us all to get together. I would be so into that. All right, let's see. What else? You guys are really chatty. Awesome. Ooh, Teresa's given us some wisdom here. Arsenicum album is a homeopathic medicine. It is often indicated here. I'll just put it up here for you guys. For individuals who experience anxiety, restlessness, and a strong desire for order and control. Isn't that so interesting? I love that. Thank you for sharing that. You guys are the best community ever. I really appreciate you all so much. You're just so friendly and kind to each other. And to me, I love that. The moon's in my emotional spot right now, you guys. Early Leo. Oh yeah, that's another thank you, Nikki, for reminding me to shout out myself sometimes. Um we did a Uranus class last November. It's part of Stellar Foundations now, but you can also get it just if you want to learn about Uranus on learn.drdanny.com. And I think it's like $33. For those of you that are members, you can use that discount code, I think, for that. I'm not sure. But if you want it, let me know. I can give you guys the link to that. It was a good class. Actually, Michael from One Sky Astrology co-taught that with me. And we went like 3.5 hours. So it was really good. It was really good. Oh, thanks, Desiree, for posting that link. You're awesome. You guys are so sweet. But wait, there's more, as Dr. Danny's saying. Yes. Venus video. Oh, thank you for highlighting the Venus courses too. I always forget to talk about myself. You see, I do so much stuff, y'all, and I have been criticized in the past for being all about the stuff that I do. It's just I'm excited about it. I love it. When I'm not doing a live stream, I'm working on that stuff. You know, I'm working on people's readings. I'm getting courses together for you. I'm trying to improve what I'm already doing, and of course, always thinking about the next new thing I want to do. So. Have Bliss says, I envy people with strong Mars. Mine is in Aquarius in the 4th house. Everybody's Mars is strong. 4th house is a little bit, it's a tough spot for Mars, but only because people don't understand Mars. You know, that Mars has to be centered within the self first before it can take action for anyone else. That's just that Mars. And when you do that, you'll find your Mars much more effective. Somebody asked me in one of the comments, like, what do I have in Gemini and what kind of mind do I have that I can do what I do at the rate that I do it? And I said, it's kind of a long story, but my Gemini is stacked. You guys saw you see the logo on my charts, the Venus over Saturn with the star Sirius. That's in my Gemini. That is in my 2nd house, trine to my Jupiter in my 10th house in Aquarius, which is retrograde, squaring the nodes. And so to have Jupiter move through my Saturn, Venus, Lilith conjunction in Gemini, I'm very excited about that. I can't wait, because when Saturn hits your natal, or when Jupiter hits your natal Saturn, you're starting a brand new 12-year career cycle. So something new is on the horizon for me, and it's starting this summer. And I kind of have some ideas, but I just don't know. And I'm so excited. I can't wait to see what comes for me. Nikki says that full moon got you. Yep. It was, man, I was in a whole nother world when I was on that trip over Memorial Weekend. And to come back to feel that, it was like a shock to the system. Oh, yeah. And have Bliss, thanks for reminding me too. Right before sunset, if you look out, you'll see the crescent moon. It's my favorite moon. And then, of course, you can see Venus in the morning. Oh my gosh, there's so many comments. You guys are so great. I think I'm getting to the end. Yeah, after I have dinner, I'm probably going to go to sleep because I have to work tomorrow. But then after that, I am going to be off until the 8th. I'm super excited. Desiree says, I love that you read the comments at the end. Well, I mean, you guys are here to support me and to support each other. And sometimes people say some things that we need to think about. This is a good idea right here. Vivian Slanette says, I will watch this again to chart in my diary. I'm also going to put some timestamps down here. But I have to watch it again. So if any of you watch it before I do, if you want to note the timestamps, you can do that in the comments. That would be great. That'd be really great. Jackie says, let me know if you come to Colorado. I might, because I have a family in Colorado. So Colorado might definitely be on the list. And I know Brenda's out there. So yeah, we could do it. We could make this a real thing, guys, where we see each other and we talk about constellational astrology and we get everybody there. We get Athen and Nikki and Abby and Michael and me and even Maria and Julie. There we go. I'll just keep chatting. Well, I didn't look the whole time, so I just wanted to see what you guys were talking about. Make sure you didn't have any burning questions. And I appreciate you, Desiree and Lori, for answering the kind of the simple ones, like where do I get a chart? How do I get a reading? That kind of stuff. I appreciate that. Cool, you guys. Well, I am tired. So I'm going to leave you, and I will leave you with the 3 minutes of this Venus, cool facts about Venus. Sometimes when you read it at the beginning of the presentation, it's different when you see it at the end, especially when we go through a transmission like that and we see what Venus is going through for the next month. So I'm so grateful, and I feel so blessed to have this community and you guys supporting me and surrounding me. And I will see you all next time. Take care, guys. Bye.